Hello friends, it's Nancy from Astrology and Angel Mediums, and today I have a weekly check-in reading for the week of September 21st, so Sunday, September 21st through Saturday, September 27th, I believe it'll be. All right, so today is going to be also the celebration of Mabon, or the autumnal equinox. It is the beginning of Libra season, which means it is officially fall, y'all. So happy fall. As you may have guessed, it is one of my favorite seasons. I live in Colorado, so it's, they have a whole thing where they call it Fallorado, and a lot of the state has beautiful trees that change colors, and it's just nice to go leaf peeping on a weekend and go check out all of the beautiful colors and all of the beautiful leaves and just really enjoy the cooler weather and all of the loveliness that kind of comes with fall. So today, in honor of the beginning of fall, I'm going to be using the Hocus Pocus tarot deck, and then I'll also be pulling from the Seasons of the Witch Mabon Oracle for some guidance this week. So let's see what we need to know this week. Oh, come on, as a collective. All right, so we have the 10 of Pumpkins, which would be the 10 of Pentacles. All right, let's get into what we need to do. Is the 4 of Lightning, which I'm assuming is going to be the 4 of Swords. All right, now let's see what we need to release this week as a collective. We have the Ace of Pumpkins, or the Ace of Pentacles. And then finally, what do we need to contemplate as a collective? We have Temperance. So, all right, now let's pull our Oracle card and see what we got going on with this. And I'm gonna apologize, I've like caught whatever little crud has been going around, so I sound a little huskier than usual, and I appreciate those that watch. I was debating even doing this video today just because I'm not feeling 100%. I just have had a lot going on in my household this week. So we have breath work, and this is out of the Seasons of the Witch Mabon Oracle. So we have breath work for our oracle guidance this week. And we also have a new moon today, and it's going to be a solar eclipse. So there's also that energy, lots of things going on energetically that can feel a little bit intense. I know a lot of us are being kind of asked to slow down a little bit, take some time to reconnect with ourselves a little bit and kind of bring back that energy. And it's hard, right? I feel like I have so much going on right now that it's hard for me to take a step back. But let's get into this week's reading. So for what we need to know, all right, so we have the 10 of Pumpkins, or the 10 of Pentacles. Now, I look at the 10 of Pentacles as a card that really talks about the culmination of all of our hard work, our dedication, how we've been acting, what have we been doing, have we been paying attention. This can be a very physical card in the sense of it can talk about the physical body, it can talk about our home, our work, our space, kind of our earthly designs, so to speak. And so what we need to know this week is that maybe it's kind of allowing us to say, hey, it's time to really enjoy the fruits of our labor and the fruits of our dedication, our hard work, taking the time out to maybe be where we're at before we kind of move on to the next thing. Now, I know the ending of a season can be a little bit of a challenging time for people, especially as we move into the darker months or, the end of the year. A lot of people tend to struggle with things getting colder, darker, things of that nature. And so I know for a lot of people, it can be a little bit challenging to kind of move into the energy of trying to enjoy everything that we've done and celebrate, all of the things that we have done during the previous season. So I think that this is a beautiful energy for us to kind of commence this week, is just taking the time out to kind of acknowledge where we've been, acknowledge what we've done, taking the time out to just kind of say, I've done what I needed to do, I can enjoy it. I feel like the 10 of Pentacles is also a card that really talks about, really looking at everything that we have put together. What have we assembled? What have we created for ourselves, so to speak? And where has our hard work and dedication gotten us? So, kind of having that moment of clarity, of not trying to see how much further we still have to go, but kind of taking time out to kind of say, like, you know what, I've really have done a lot, and it's okay to just kind of be in the present moment. So I think this being what we need to know this week, I know that there's a lot of stuff going on politically and culturally and societally that can feel very overwhelming, and sometimes we tend to forget like how much we've already established or how much we've accomplished so far. So I think that this card is kind of an invitation into having an understanding that like we're doing everything we can, and as long as we're kind of tuning into our own into the life that we're creating and where we're focusing our energy, we have an opportunity to kind of really enjoy it for what it is right now. Now, moving on to what we need to do, we have the Four of Lightning or the Four of Swords in traditional tarot. So this is a card that to me really talks about taking a step back, allowing ourselves to kind of breathe, allowing ourselves to, really rest after the things that we have gone through. So most people have an understanding that the Three of Swords is a card of heartbreak and loss, and this is a card that comes right after. So it's almost like the first step into not just the grieving process, but also the first step into healing. And so this is kind of saying what we need to do this week is maybe take into accountability, like, where is our mind on things? What are we thinking about? Are we, overly anxious about things that maybe we need to kind of refocus and recenter where that really is going and where these thoughts are really leading us? I know for many of us, we may be feeling very powerless in the situation that we're in. We may be feeling a little bit like there's not much I can do. There's not much I can change. I don't really know how this is going to look. And so I feel like with the Four of Lightning or the Four of Swords, there is this invitation to kind of say, okay, it's all right if I don't really know what this is going to look like, or it's okay if I don't really know how I'm going to move forward, but I'm going to just take a step back to kind of reestablish my own foundation, my own sense of what I need and what I, really think I should be focusing on moving forward. So I think that this is not just an invitation to take a step back and just be like, okay, healing can begin and I can just breathe. I think that it's also an invitation to kind of look at, what is it that we really have been, feeding our minds with? What are we thinking about? Are we grounding ourselves? Are we taking time out to kind of connect and pay attention to, who we are and what we have going on? So if we move right along to what we need to release, right? We have the Ace of Pumpkins. Now, the Ace of Pumpkins is going to be the Ace of Pentacles. So this is essentially kind of saying, like, maybe there's been some new opportunities, some new doors that we thought we were going to have opening, or maybe we thought it was going to look a little bit different, or some sort of shift has happened in maybe some seeds that we have wanted to plant, or things that we have planted that maybe didn't take root. And that's the thing. Sometimes, we don't really have an understanding or knowledge of what will grow and what will become of the things that we do and what we establish for ourselves. So I think that this is almost saying, like, hey, you put it out there, you did what you could, that's all you can do. Now, we are in the middle of eclipse season, and this is going to be the Pisces and Virgo axis, which, you know, to me can be very healing and very much about, you know, the energy of what needs to change, what hasn't changed, what we're physically doing to kind of heal ourselves while also healing the liminal, the spatial, the, you know, kind of the energetic, the etheric. And I think with this being what we need to release is that maybe it's saying like, hey, we've been hanging on to a lot of stuff and maybe having a lot of expectations of what was going to happen and where one thing was going to go or how it was going to look. And this is kind of saying like, no, it's not going to look anything like that. And we just have to kind of trust the process and just be what it, like, let it be what it is going to be without a lot of our intervention or a lot of our own, pressure to make it look a certain way. So I think that the Ace of Pumpkins here is kind of saying like, it's going to be its own thing. So stop trying to control it. Stop trying to make it look a certain way. This isn't the time to kind of focus on that at this, you know, right now. So it's almost saying like, that's what we just got to let go of. It's that something's going to change and it's just going to be a little bit different than we had anticipated or expected. All right, and finally, with what we need to contemplate this week, we have Temperance. Now, Temperance is very much a card of like balance and really taking into account, you know, what are we doing with the different elements and aspects of our lives that may be coming together? Are we doing what we can to balance things out? Are we really asking ourselves these questions of, you know, really trying to understand, you know, what are we doing? What are we focusing on? What is the goal? What is our intention? And with this being what we need to contemplate this week is that maybe we've been going too hard into one element or one aspect of our lives, or maybe we've been too focused on, you know, X, Y, and Z, and we're not really paying attention to the other things that maybe also require a lot of our own, attention and help. And, you know, as someone that can totally understand, I've been very focused on a completely different element of my life besides this. And it's been challenging because it is something that is very physically demanding, to kind of prioritize other elements of my life that are equally important. And I'm just now kind of coming to the realization of like, man, I haven't really done much else besides focus on this one thing. So I think with Temperance and being a reminder of like, are we bringing things into balance? Are we focusing on, you know, trying to equalize things for ourselves, to, you know, kind of take the time out to prioritize, you know, the things that maybe we've forgotten for some time, whether that's like, you know, for me, it's been, you know, organizing and, you know, trying to take care of my physical space. We have these Pentacles cards here that are kind of saying like, hey, take care of your home too, so that it feels more restful, so that it feels more like a healing space for myself. So that is something I've been trying to focus on the last week or so. It's been a little bit challenging, but it's okay. We're figuring it out. But this is a reminder of what we also need to balance within ourselves, whether it's, you know, what are we thinking? What are we focusing on? Are we just, you know, sorry, I'm going to fix this candle. Are we just so focused on the catastrophe of what hasn't worked out or what is out of our control? And I think Temperance is a beautiful energy that is reminding us that there's so much we can actually do with where we're at and what we have. And I think that it's kind of saying like, hey, even if it's just you, you're so much more powerful than you're remembering and giving yourself credit for. So I think Temperance is here this week to kind of say, we got to kind of take some time out to do things that we love, to encourage ourselves to, you know, take care of what we need to do, while also not being so focused on just going and doing and being, you know, the word just like left me. Someone that's like constantly busy and doing things and getting things done. But like, are you also having a little bit of fun along the way? Are you also taking time out to enjoy things? Are you pausing for those moments that require a little bit of like awe and joy? Because I feel like Temperance kind of brings a little bit of that energy too, where it's kind of saying like, we got to enjoy where we're at and what we're doing. So finally, for our oracle guidance for this week, we have breath work. So allow your breath to expand your spirit and fill your heart. And I think that this is exactly what it sounds like. I think this week, maybe we just need to pause a little bit. We need to take some time out to just realize what we've accomplished, what we've done. I know so many of us are so filled up with I have this to do and I have that to do and I have to do, X, Y, and Z and whatever. And it's so easy to get caught up in just the culture of being busy, the culture of just trying to fill up your time. I know that it's hard for us to be quote unquote bored now, just because of what technology we have at our disposal. It's very hard for many of us to just kind of sit down and just be like, it's okay to be bored. It's okay to not have something to mindlessly scroll on or something to mindlessly watch or whatever. And I think breath work is kind of saying like, okay, let's really just breathe, really just like taking in breath intentionally and allowing ourselves to kind of say, it's okay. It's okay that I'm taking time out for myself. It's okay for me to also, prioritize my own personal healing at this time. Now, one thing I do want to pull from, since today we do have the new moon, and if I could find this deck, give me a second. I'm going to look for it and then I'll bring it, is the moon messages. All right. I found the Moonology messages oracle. So let's see what this new moon, this solar eclipse has for us. Oh, come on, give me you. All right. Accept responsibility. Is that not a very Virgo energy here? So I think that given all of the other messages here, is that maybe it's kind of saying like, hey, we haven't been really taking time out to look at within ourselves, to pay attention to how we're showing up and what's going on. So I think that this is kind of saying like we need to just accept responsibility for what we're doing, how we've shown up, what's going on. Are we paying attention to the things that maybe have been showing up for us right now, but maybe we've kind of been too distracted by everything else that we're not paying attention to our own personal responsibility in the things that are happening in our own lives. I know it can be challenging and it can be very uncomfortable, but because we have so many Pentacles cards with this week's reading, I think it's an invitation for us to look at our own personal behavior. And I think that the accept responsibility card from the moon messages is that maybe it's kind of saying this week we're given an invitation to look a little bit more at how are we showing up and what are we doing? And maybe that's why it's so significant for us to take time out for breath work and to really move into temperance and having an understanding of balancing things out. Because as much as we may do things, the universe tends to respond in kind, right? And so we have to kind of accept responsibility for our own behavior and the things that we're doing, as well as taking ourselves into, that step of accountability of looking at, well, what have I been doing? What have I been focusing on? Have I been, giving energy to the things that are significant, that do matter to me right now? And if I haven't, why not? So I think that this week will be one that maybe bringing a lot of different revelations, a different understanding of what we've been focusing on. Because I feel like that's a big thing with eclipse season, is it can bring kind of this unexpected, out of control sort of energy. And I don't mean out of control like it's going to be crazy, but it can be very much like things that are not within the scope of what we understand, if that makes sense. So it's always going to be things that just kind of happen and you're like, why is this happening right now? I don't have time for this. That's very eclipse sort of energy to me. It's very okay, you just have to learn how to roll with the punches, or you're just going to make this much more challenging than it needs to be. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me. I really hope that this reading brings you clarity. As always, if you like this video, please subscribe. I would appreciate it. I'm trying to be a little bit more consistent on my channel. I really hope you guys have a wonderful week. Blessed, autumnal equinox. And happy fall, y'all. So take care, take it easy, and as always, make some good choices out there. All right, bye.